Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in Final Fantasy podcasts. I am your host, Caleb Schweiss.
I am Joseph DeGollier.
And today, we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be doing Fragments Before, Part 4, Fair and Foul, mostly foul, and also we're going to be talking about Square Enix's E3 performance as it relates to our podcast, so all the Final Fantasy stuff and beyond. So, yeah, excited to get into that, guys. They showed a lot of great stuff yesterday. I watched the entire, well, not the entire thing last night. There was like a 20-minute thing on the, the Avengers game, and they had like the developers in, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to watch this. But almost all of it I watched last night at about, 5 a.m. my time. So I got that done. Joe, you haven't seen anything yet, though, have you?
I've seen two trailers, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. Final Fantasy VIII trailer and the Final Fantasy VII trailer.
Yeah, I don't really care about the trailer. There's way more than the trailer on FF7's remake, though. They didn't just show the trailer.
Well, if that's the case, I'm excited to learn what it is that you saw. I'll tell you what I've seen of E3. Driving to work, I have to pass the LA Convention Center.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, it's about a 10-minute walk from my apartment. And then it's about a mile and a half to my work, and I have to go into downtown through Figueroa Street. And that's where it all takes place. It's the LA Convention Center, and then north from that is the Staples Center, and then I have to go up a couple blocks and then turn, and then I'm at my work. So E3 has been a traffic jam, gigantic posters. There's all over Figueroa Street, and then there's a giant poster on the LA Convention Center's front. That's a Call of Duty poster, I think. It's just huge. It's gigantic. And then as you drive down the street, they actually have they have a building where they have these three-paneled, it's like a three-paneled brick building. Looks like it's 16 floors or something like that. And then on each of those panels, every few weeks they change it over. It's a new advertisement, but when they do the advertisement, it doesn't look like it's ever a poster. It looks like they straight up paint, they do a paint by numbers on the advertisement, on the side of the thing. So you see a bunch of painters out there painting a giant poster. Before it was like a soccer team, and now it's Doom Eternal, just a giant painting, a three-panel painting of Doom Eternal on these buildings as I drive into downtown. It's pretty cool. So I mean, that's the E3 that I've seen.
Now the real question is, have you seen any of the new?
E3.
Have you seen any of the new Doom Eternal stuff?
Only the painting. Only the painting. I've been busy, man. Come on, I've been playing Final Fantasy the 4 Heroes of Light. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I've been working, bro. I've been working for the show.
Yeah.
No, I know it's E3 time, and I have never ever been a guy who looks up E3 stuff. Famously, I guess, infamously on Nude Clan, when it was my turn to do the episode for Nude Clan, and it was E3, and all I did was get a big list of all the games that were mentioned on E3, and I just went down the list, and everybody fucking shat on me about that. It's to everybody else, E3 is this huge, giant, important thing. I don't know if it really... it's a big trade show. And for the industry, it's really interesting. And yeah, some stuff comes out and you're like, oh, I'm excited for that. But I think I'm more excited for when the games come out than I ever am at the announcement stuff for E3.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I consume, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's more the final release date. That's when it's exciting.
Yeah.
And E3 doesn't always do that, because we saw the God of War stuff years before God of War came out, and it looked awesome, but it's like 2 years later we finally get the game, and it's like, do we really have the hype from the E3 from 2 years ago, 2.5 years back?
No.
Not really.
I'm starting to think trailers are coming out to, like, when they're out for too long,
Mm-hmm.
the hype train isn't as exciting when the game actually gets there. You're almost like, what was that, Watch Dogs? You remember that Watch Dogs trailer everybody was freaking out about?
Yeah.
And I know Watch Dogs, I think it did well, but did it go like crazy business? Maybe I'm wrong about this.
The Watch Dogs 2, I don't know. I don't think it was as big. A lot of people did.
It didn't set the world on fire, though. Like, it didn't, like...
No.
I remember the trailer, I think, made more of an impact than the game did. So wouldn't it have been better to, like, announce a trailer, like, 5 months before release? Get everybody really pumped? And then put it out? I don't know. There's, I guess the advertising people know more about this than I do. And I'm sure there's, like, statistical numbers about when to put out a trailer versus how much money something made, but I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, the second Watch Dogs, it was kind of disappointing sales wise, apparently. So yeah, and that's one that we would have watched for Watch Dogs 2. I don't think we would have watched Watch Dogs 1.
Yeah.
'Cause that was a little while back. But yeah, so I mean, it was kind of like that. Yeah, and you get a trailer that's super amazing, and it seems like it's gonna just destroy. But if it's too long in between, I don't know. I think it just loses a lot of its steam,
I think it does, but something like a good trailer for the publicly traded companies, it increases their value of the company. So it increases the perceived value of the company. So I feel like they drop trailers at certain times in order to get certain quarters. I don't know, just to increase their stock prices.
Yeah, probably. They probably do that.
Yeah, probably. Square Enix would totally do that.
Yeah, Square Enix will do anything for money.
Yep.
Anything.
Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Including remake a game that people already thought was just fine.
Yeah. Oh man, have you looked at how much that game costs?
Does it cost more than the original? Because the original was like the fifth most... wait, hold on. Cost for the consumer or cost for the company?
The consumer, the collector's edition.
Oh, no. Jake sent me a link yesterday, and I just knew I wasn't going to get it. Cause I gotta go. I gotta go a little Dave Ramsey right now.
So, the list price for the day one edition, or the rank one, or something like that, I can't remember what they call it. It's like the top rank in, or class 1. Some fucking edition of it. The list price. This is before tax and before the shipping, which Square Enix's store does charge you for, by the way. They're not beautiful like Amazon. The list price for the Super Hog edition, $329.99.
How many are they printing?
I don't know. They don't say. So after taxes and shipping, $371.81. And I know that because I pre-ordered it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, and I don't know if I'm actually going to carry it out, but I now have the option to fucking buy it. It's a lot, dude. It is so much money. Like, it's crazy.
That's more than our plane tickets to KupoCon.
Yeah, that's more than a lot of things. But here's what it comes with, though. And it's pretty cool. It's got the deluxe, like, the fucking, like, sweet sweet case, steelbook case. It's got a mini soundtrack CD, which is like a sampler thing, hardback art book, and then Cloud on the motorcycle. And that's the big thing that makes it expensive. The Play Arts Cloud Strife.
The toy.
Hardy Daytona. Yeah. And then you get a couple Summon Materia DLCs, Cactar and Carbuncle, two that aren't in the game normally, which is kind of weird, but...
Oh, that's lame.
I mean, they're not in FF7 OG, at least. I'm sure they'll be available later.
Okay. They're just adding a couple summons there. I'm sure it'll be available in like the second pack of DLCs.
Yeah, that is...
Like, all right.
That is an insane price, though. $329.99 for the first class edition.
Louise. Oh, that's so much money.
I know. I feel like it's probably going to usurp the $200 I spent on the Dissidia NT is the worst purchase I've ever made in my life. Like, it's not that I think it's going to be a bad game. I just don't think it's going to be worth $330. And I don't think there's anything anyone can tell me to convince me otherwise. But I'm probably still going to do it anyway, so...
Just based on the new trailer, I'm going to tell you, yeah, it's not worth it.
I mean, the big thing is the toy, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to just stick it on a shelf.
It better be a massive toy.
Yeah.
You're going to stick it on the shelf next to Kratos?
Yeah, probably. I don't have room on the Final Fantasy shelf anymore.
No.
So
you're going to have to make a new Final Fantasy shelf. Bigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, but yeah, there's that version, and then we also have just the collector's edition, which has the steelbook, and then the regular edition. So those are all, or the deluxe edition, I guess. You got the steelbook, you got the art book, you got the soundtrack, and that one's $79.99. So
okay.
that's a pretty good price. That's respectable.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I don't think the bike is worth $250. Like, I really don't think it's worth $250, but that's how much it costs.
But it's also the packaging and also the premium price. Dude, how many do you guess that Square Enix is printing? Of the $330 edition.
Probably too many because it didn't sell out. And with a game as big as Final Fantasy VII's remake and it not selling out, that tells me that people are like, $330 is a little bit too much. And this is exactly why, this is what bothers me about the remake. It's not a passion project for Square Enix. It's nothing of the sort like that. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a bad game, and I'm not saying it's not going to be better than the original, because it may very well be. I don't know. I'm just saying that this is about the money, and that's it.
What?
Yeah.
No. No. Not Square Enix.
Yeah. Not Square.
No.
This is about nothing but the money, and
This is about the art.
I think
Schweiss.
I think the $330 price tag is opening some eyes to that fact. Unless they just made a shitload of copies thinking they were going to just fucking harvest our monies.
Or maybe they're just going to go until sales slow down and then they're going to put a cap on the thing because they haven't actually manufactured any of these things yet.
Oh, that could be true too, yeah. It's not coming out till March, so that's a great idea. They just manufactured one set of it so they could show it off in a picture. And they're like, all right, Tell us how many we need to make, and we'll put an X amount of percentage above that to make those available.
Let's pretend. Like, how many do you think? I bet there are at least 10,000 of them, if not more, right?
Yeah, probably. I bet there are that many that are already accounted for easily. And that is so much money, dude. That is so much money coming in. And I'll tell you what, the Kai Arts things, like, they're quality, but they're quality toys. So, like, the amount of money it costs to make these things, probably not much for the Play Arts. Probably not much.
Someone at home is going, they're not toys.
Yeah, someone's raging at us right now. No, it's a toy.
It's a toy. Come on. It's all right. Jesus.
And it's a really it's a $250 toy. I could buy a PlayStation 4 for that. I could buy a PS4 Pro. Like,
that's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy that. Sorry. I might get the deluxe, like the Steelbook one or whatever, the $80 one.
Yeah,
but
I could buy an Xbox One X, the highest graphical console on the market right now, for less than Final Fantasy VII Remake's Collector's Edition.
Oh, what if the game sucks too? Oh.
Yeah, then it's going to be horrible. I'm just going to, like, never trust myself to pre-order a game again.
That's what you said about the city, and then you went ahead and did it.
Well, I also want to do it again, but they don't have any more fucking copies of the next 14 expansion.
Yeah.
Which also we got some news about too this week.
The one that's coming out in July?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, before I think we should get back to our regular show format, that we could go into news.
Yeah.
Where are you in Final Fantasy IV Heroes of Light?
So, I put like 10 minutes into it yesterday,
Nice.
and I got to the next Red Mage save spot guy in that big mansion in the beginning of the game. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Nice. Do you even have an hour in there?
No, I don't.
You know how many hours I got in there?
A lot, but you left it on overnight, so...
I didn't leave it on overnight. It was always on in my presence.
Oh. Well, how many?
A lot of it was auto battle. I would guess about 15 hours of it was on auto battle. But even still, I got 60 plus hours in that game right now.
Jesus.
And I think I'm going to beat it today. So, I mean, I was wanting to beat it before this episode. That did not happen. But I did get past the boss that I was having trouble with, and then I have plowed through every boss after him. I have a strategy of having like 3 beat stick characters and then a white mage. And when I mean beat stick, I mean they each have like the highest, the best weapon I can buy in the game that doesn't have an elemental attachment to it. So they're just kind of, and that they have like a super attack that like makes them attack like really hard. Does like 3 times the amount of a normal attack.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Reckless. So the class is hero, and the attack is Reckless. And I've been recklessly plowing through the last like section of this game. So I got like on the guide that I've been following on IGN, and the good thing about following that guide is I've been getting all the equipment that I like really need, except for the magic spells that I didn't grab. It didn't tell me to grab that. I think it just like assumed that I would have known to have grabbed all the magic, but I didn't. Yeah, I got 3 beat stick characters in White Mage, and I am just destroying with them. So, yeah, I plan to beat it today. I think I got maybe 3 or 4 hours left in the game, unless I get stuck, which is highly likely in this game because this game is brutal. But it's not a bad experience. I'm not like pulling my hair out. I was starting to pull my hair out a little bit when I had it on the auto battle thing, but at least it was an auto battle thing. I didn't have to like sit there for 15 hours. What I realized about that auto battle thing was if a guy was doing not enough damage, and when the boss gets down to like a quarter health, that particular boss, he starts healing himself. So you have to do more damage than what he's healing. And so there was just no way for me to beat the boss at like when I'm only hitting for 10 to 20 points.
Yeah.
There was no way that was going to happen. So yeah, about 15 hours I would say in that game were just like me like leaving the game on. So I probably played it for about 40 hours. Still quite a long time. But yeah, I think I'm going to beat it today.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah. Or you'll hear a very angry rant next week. It's going to be one of the one of the two. We got like 2 weeks till KupoCon, so I've got 2 weeks to beat 2 other games.
That's kind of intense, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I've just been fucked by all the RPGs and these fucking shows, man. That Caleb Craig. I need you all to unite.
I told you guys to stop. I told you guys a few months before I left, I was like, do not nominate any more RPGs. We talked about it off the air. It's like, just for a while, no more RPGs. We have enough RPGs on this show. And you just ignore that. You refuse to put your foot down and just be like, look,
I mean,
live a life and do a show.
Yeah. I nominated the longest one we'll have played in a while.
Fucking moron.
I didn't know it was that long. It's 4 discs, but fuck, I don't know. I mean, FF7 is 4 discs too, and I could probably beat that in like 25 hours.
Played.
It's like 25 hours. I figure an extra disc, maybe another 5 hours. It's 20 more.
Dude.
God,
dude.
Yeah. So I feel bad that I don't want you guys to think that I'm like taking priority of one over the other. It's not really that. It's just I did so many FFs in a row, and now I'm like, okay, now I gotta chill out and do some of these other ones. But I don't know, man. The time is just, it's such a fleeting thing now. That precious time. But,
yeah, that's why you don't fill it with RPGs.
Yeah, and if you do, you just do it for 1 and not for 2.
Yeah.
So I don't want you guys to think that like I'm not doing it because I don't want
it.
I'm just not doing it because I can't. But we will get these done, and we will knock out all the reviews and get the shows done. The I guess not the shows. Well, yeah, we do have the shows for Unlimited, and then also the 13 books and the 10-2 novella, novel, whatever. All of that will be complete. It's just got to be, maybe not at the time we thought it was.
Yeah, my goal is to beat these 3 games before KupoCon. And I told you before, Schweiss, you do you. I'll come on to these shows to discuss those games after have already beat them. I just want, for my personal, how I want my year to, be paced out, I want these games done. Because I want July off. Off of all games. So, and I just kind of I want it to be done by our 5th anniversary, and we're already over that. And so I'm just yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna make it. I mean, this is the game. 4 Heroes of Light is the game that could stop me from hitting that goal just because of the difficulty of the game and the length of it. So the other 2 games are supposed to be easy games, and Explorers is only 20 hours. World of Final Fantasy can be up to 40. Although Caleb Craig disagrees, but I don't really believe him that much. I kind of believe HowLongToBeat.com over Caleb Craig. Sorry. But it's also supposed to be an easy game, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather have an easy, time-consuming game than what 4 Heroes of Light is both difficult and time-consuming. As a time commitment thing, 4 Heroes of Light is a good game, and I'm excited for you to get into it. Just because it's a good, solid throwback RPG, and it's really simple and just really well done. Yeah, excited for you to actually pull into it. So what's the plan right now? Are you going to beat Legend of a Dragoon and then do Four Heroes of Light?
I think I'm going to start working on both. Like when I go on break and stuff, I'm just going to start doing nothing but Four Heroes of Light. Like it's been go to break with the bros at work and stuff, and now I'm like, no, I have to crack down and spend these 30 minutes a day, almost an hour a day with the lunch in there playing this game. So I'm going to try to do both of them. And I don't know, once I finish Dragoon, which will be the bulk of the gaming at home, I'll just really hunker down and start hitting Four Heroes of Light hard. So hopefully we'll have the review before KupoCon. I don't know, though. KupoCon's not very far away. But,
yeah, it's not far at all.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. I also have a ton of E3 to watch for Nude Clan, so I mean that's going to take a lot of time. But
you can watch it in the background while you're on your DS playing Four Heroes of Light.
I don't know. Can you though? I mean, it's a video thing. It's not like I'm listening to it and it counts. I don't know. I could try it. But I've always been slow to adopt these newfangled listen to things instead of watch them or read them. So maybe it'll work out better than I anticipate. I don't know.
I listen to books or I put on dumb comedy shows in the background, usually, when I'm just playing a DS game. It's not like there's a riveting story in Four Heroes of Light, so you're not missing much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly gameplay.
Well, yeah, that's where we're at with the podcast, though. I mean, where
we're at with Four Heroes.
Yeah, still trucking along, and we'll get it done when we get it done.
How dare you? All right. I will get it done before KupoCon. Unless this game fucks me. Or unless something unexpected happens in the other two games, I guess. It's quite possible.
Yeah.
From the reading I've done, I don't think so. But anyway, yeah. Okay, news. Let's get to news.
All right, let's dive right on in.
So we talked about the collector's edition already. What else? You tell me, because you actually watched the thing.
So we're going to get Final Fantasy VIII remastered on the next-gen consoles this year.
The next gen, you mean PlayStation 5?
No, I mean current gen, I guess. I guess current gen.
Current, okay. Did we not... So, Final Fantasy VIII is available on the PS4 already, right?
No, it's on PS3.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. All right, there you go.
Yeah, it's going to... And
cool.
even if it was, it would just be before it was just going to be...
It's just the original edition of the game, uncompressed, put onto the new system. So what we're getting now, according to the trailer, was an overhaul of the visuals. My guess is that it'll be like FF10's remaster, where they make it widescreen and just extend the backgrounds and stuff and kind of sharpen everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks sharpened up. I mean, you can watch the trailer for it.
Yeah, I have.
It looks pretty clean. So
yeah, looks like a really cleaned up edition of the old game. It's not a remake. Someone put on Twitter remake. It's the exact same game, just with cleaner visuals. So I mean, that's cool. Was there anything else that they added to that remaster that is going to change the game?
Not that I remember seeing. It was mostly just that it's coming out this year and to be hyped for it. I don't know. They didn't really add any new sort of news on it. They just announced that it's coming. And honestly, I was kind of surprised that it wasn't available right away, because I feel like last time, I think they did that with FF9, the PS4 port of 9. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was right after a convention. They were like, available right fucking now, and everyone's like, oh my god. That would have been fucking sweet if they would have done that, because I was ready to go buy it. I was like, oh, is this coming tonight? And then it's like 2019. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. Just put my wallet away. I'm like, yeah, you guys don't get any of this sweet Schweiss wallet today. But soon you'll be plundering that fucker dry. You'll be cracking the bones open and sucking the marrow out of my fucking credit card.
Where the fuck are the 2D games, man?
I don't know. They did tease Octopath Traveler. It's getting a PC release, so they're still doing those, hyper 2D to 3D thing. And I think that would be such a bitchin' style to do FF6 and FF5 and FF4 in as a re-release and a remaster.
Square Enix. I know someone in your company is listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and they're probably like, hey, we should re-release the old games. And Square's like, no. One at a time. They're like, no, really, we could do this in like an afternoon. No. Can
they do it? Can they do it one at a time in order, though?
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. They did 7, then 9. Now they're doing this. Then they're doing... Well, no. Okay, so they did 7, and then they did 9, and then they did Chocobo's Dungeon, and then they're doing either FF8 or Crystal Chronicles. We got another trailer on that as well.
Fuck that.
And so it's like the order is all sorts of fucked up for these games being remastered, and I don't know. I wish they would just do it in order. Just start with 1 and just remaster all the way up, and then maybe for PS5, because I hear PS5 is supposed to be. They're talking about it being completely backwards compatible. So really, they could just do it now, and it would last into the next gen as long as it's available for purchase and download.
I'm surprised that most of the PlayStation 3 content wasn't that way. Really surprised at one point when I found that, I couldn't go back and get the games that I already had on PlayStation Network. Like, that was insane to me. And still is the fact that that's the case.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they don't do that in the next coming months, though. Like with the PS5's backwards compatibility and all that. I think now is a great time for Square to start remastering every game that they can. Every game they have the source code for. Because I know there have been rumors of code being lost in companies over time. I think they should all be up, and I think it would be well worth their while.
Yeah, but even then, Schweiss, they can just, I'm sure they can do, some kind of computer workaround with, getting emulation, emulating the thing and then packaging that as a new game, which I'm sure they do already, a lot of these companies, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't, I don't know. We already talked about this a couple months ago. It's like, why the hell doesn't Square just continue to churn out just cleaned up versions of the games every 6 months? Just every time there's a new console, just be like FF1, FF2, FF3, FF4, and then near the end of a console run, put a big the Final Fantasy collection up for $150.
Yeah.
All the games in a package.
Well, if it was Square, it would probably be $7.99. But
there'd be a version where you get you get one Kai Arts figure from all the games.
Yeah, it's a $3,000 version available now. The First Class Super Hog Uber Edition.
I don't know, man. So there's there was 46 Final Fantasy games that we're playing for this show, right?
Yeah.
Now, imagine, if you will, they had 46 remaster releases every new console generation. A few of those will be doing 1 million copies sold, right? If it's FF7 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, cha-ching?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I can't imagine they cost a ton to remaster, honestly, because how many copies do they think Chocobo's Dungeon is going to sell? I don't know if we even have information on everybody.
Well, the original one only sold like what, 300,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge game, and they remastered it. They decided to remaster that not huge game. So I don't know, man.
It's bizarre decisions going on here, and I'm surprised there's no one like at the company that's just like the visionary. Like, let's get a system down, bro.
Yeah,
it's like churn, baby, churn. I'm just surprised it doesn't work that way. I'm sure that there are things that are getting in the way of something like that, but outside of like Gackt's music for Crisis Core, I can't imagine what they are.
Yeah, like what's going to be harder to overcome than that? You know, the musical issues with Sony.
Yeah. So there you go.
I can't imagine anything else being that crazy to overcome.
Final Fantasy VIII's getting a FF10-esque remaster, so that's pretty cool. It's nice that that game's gonna come out and it's gonna be even prettier, and that'll probably be like the version of the game that we play from now on.
Yeah.
Unlike the FF7 remake, but I don't know why they didn't do that for FF7. That's what I wanted for FF7. It's just I don't know, like kind of just clean up and redo these graphics and make the game the same.
Yeah.
That's just me, I guess.
I know.
I remember listening to an old episode. I remember that that one person who went on our old forums and was like, "This is what you guys are gonna do. You guys are gonna say that it's like." You guys were saying that you didn't want an FF7 remake, and now you guys are going to be all excited about it. And I'm telling you, like, us and the others, we were heroes because we petitioned Square over and over again to remake the FF7 games. And then we made fun of him for like half an hour. I just remember that post happening. And I got to say, I'm still kind of an old man curmudgeon about this FF7 remake. Even more so after this new trailer. So what is Schweiss? Because I have not been looking any of this up. I haven't been going on there. I do a weekly FF podcast, and I kind of get enough FF in my life playing this fucking 4 Heroes of Light for 60 hours for the last 3 weeks. What is the community reaction right now to the... I'm sure it's super positive for the FF8 remaster. And I feel like I don't even need to ask, right?
Oh yeah, the FF8 remaster. It's nothing but mouth breathing fucks. Everyone's super excited. I'm gonna buy it day one. I as much as FF8 is like a meh game and a meh Final Fantasy, because those are the same thing to me now. I'm gonna buy it because it's a PS4 remaster, and I said I'm gonna buy every remaster that Square Enix puts out for the Final Fantasy games, because I want them to do more of these remasters. Even on games that I won't be playing for quite a while. I bought the FF9 one. I got to the jump rope part, and I have not advanced past that in the FF9 remaster. I haven't touched it, because I bought it, and I was like, yeah, let's do some FF9. And then I was like, yeah, I got to do this other FF game. Just kidding. I'll do this later. It's a very positive reaction to the FF8 remaster for sure. Everything I've seen has been people just losing their minds, which is great. I mean, that's what we all want. We want the remasters on the new consoles, on the current gen.
Hashtag where's FF6?
Yeah.
Hashtag Final Fantasy IV Complete Edition HD.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, that would be the sweetest thing.
If they made FF4 complete look like Octopath, that'd be so fucking awesome, dude.
But we've all seen the trailer, I assume by now. Even I saw it. The trailer for the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yes.
The new trailer. What is the reaction in the community to that?
As far as I can tell, it's super positive. I mean, I think it looks great. I'm glad they went the direction they did, and we actually have talked about that style that they went with, where they've sort of combined active time or like turn-based and an action RPG in a way that I think Final Fantasy XV failed to do.
Schweiss, the only trailer I've seen was like cutscenes.
Yeah, it's a good trailer.
You gave me I know that there's a gameplay presentation that you sent me that I didn't watch.
Yeah, you probably should have watched that before we recorded about the E3 thing.
Well, I thought we were just going to talk about the trailer.
Why would we just talk about the trailer if they have gameplay?
I just saw this message from you. Also, yeah, it's not letting me play the video at the same time as me calling you right now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna have to tell us about the gameplay thing. What the fuck? Why won't it let? It usually does let me play videos.
Well, I think it doesn't let you do calls while you're online. That's kind of what it is. So the game, it's very action based. And over time, you build up what's called it's like almost like your limit break, and it's your ATB bar, is what they call it. And when you do actions, so like when you attack enemies over and over and over again, and it's an action RPG, so you can imagine how that looks. Your ATB bars fill up underneath your health meter, and you've got the health and the mana bar, and then you can enter tactical mode, which is where the game goes super slow-mo and starts like panning the camera around everything. And that's where you can use abilities, spells, and items that you unlock with the ATB bar. So like when you get ATB, you can start doing Cloud's limit breaks. So the more you attack, the more often you can use limit breaks, the more often you can use spells, things like that.
So it's almost like a break system like FF13 where you hit them enough and...
They have that in the game, and it looks fucking sweet.
A break system.
There's a stagger on the bosses. Yeah, and that's when you can start doing critical damage. So it does a lot of the things that the games before it have done successfully, and I think this is going to be where Square makes or breaks the inclusion of the turn-based style. And we talked about this months ago, where we kind of wish they found a way to truly combine the action RPG and also the turn-based, and I think this is going to be one of the closest things that we can get to it. You can kind of bounce between characters as well, and it has some FF10-like elements to it. I mean, there's a part where they're fighting the giant scorpion, and it jumps away onto the wall, and only Barrett can attack it because he's got the range, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of tactical things that it's kind of playing around with. We haven't seen a ton so far, and there's like an interesting cover system too. So in the part where you're fighting the giant scorpion, it like breaks part of the ceiling because it uses its laser to just destroy a shitload of the area, and rubble like basically falls down, and you can hide behind it to avoid his super attacks. So that it's kind of reminiscent of 15 when you just warp strike out to kind of take a break or like evade the big bad attack kind of a thing. I mean, you've got the ability to target different parts of the body, so it's reminiscent of all those old RPGs where it's like hit the head first, or hit the arms of Long Gooey so he doesn't just destroy you with his 7 turns per fucking move bullshit. So we saw that. We got some more interesting look at the city. Everything looks really great. We got Heidegger, which was kind of funny. We get to see the materia in the weapons, which is really cool. There's a scene with Cloud and Tifa drinking at the bar. And we get some Tifa gameplay, which is pretty awesome. Gonna be honest here, it looks pretty sweet. So it's all action based, like I said before. But with Tifa, it just looks crazy, like the amount of attacks you can get in there. And the design for Tifa is fantastic. Personally, I think she's more.
What does that mean?
They changed her again.
Okay.
She looks more, I guess, more Asian. I don't know, a little bit. All right. So the boob size, that's what we're all here for.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
The boobs looked good. They're obviously not OG size because that's ridiculous. But they're there, you know. And I don't know, the way her and Aerith look, I think they look really great in the trailer. I think I like the designs they went with. Like when I see it, I know it's Tifa. It's not like well, who the hell is that? You know, because when I saw the one trailer with Jessie, I thought Jessie was Yuffie. Everyone's like, "Oh, that Jessie though," and I was like, "Oh, I thought that was Yuffie." And then I was like, "Well, why would Yuffie be?"
You thought that was Yuffie?
Yeah. I was like, "Why would Yuffie be in Midgar though?" Like, because it just looks like what I imagine Yuffie looks like.
No.
But with these, like, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great design for Aerith. That's a great design for Tifa. I think all the designs are on point. All the voice acting seems to be on point as well.
It looks like an in-betweener from the Advent Children designs and the original game.
Yeah, it's like a good compromise between the two. Because I know not everyone likes the Advent Children designs for these characters, but I don't really mind. But I also like the way they look in this. So I mean, the game looks pretty great, and I like what they've done with the combat. I really am excited to see how the sort of active time, but like you get to pause and really strategize your attacks and your next set of moves is going to play out. Because that's one of the things that was kind of toyed with in FF15 a little bit, but it was all action. You know, it was, you can use an item, but everything's still going on around you. You know,
it's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, there wasn't that time to just sit back and look at everything around you. The camera's kind of panning, everything's super, super slow-mo, and it's like, okay, how do I get out of this alive? And that's when you start breaking down your next moves, and then you lay into the guys, you know. It looks really cool. And I am excited to play it. I'm not gonna lie. They mentioned a couple things in there. They said it's going to be across 2 Blu-rays. So I think the game...
Really?
I kind of think that means the game is going to be released in 2 parts.
Although they gave you an edition to buy. What does that mean?
Oh, wait, what?
Like the version that you're buying?
Yeah.
Do you think that'll be released in 2 parts?
Oh,
I don't think so.
I think it'll be this one's $329 and the next one's $329. And I think that's how it's going to be.
Oh, they're not calling it Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 and coming out in March. They're just calling it Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't buy it. I think they played with that idea before. It's on 2 Blu-rays. That just means that the game's going to be huge.
Yeah. You don't think it's going to be out in 2 parts? You think they're going to release it all? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. It'd be weird for them to do that. I know they were thinking about it before. I don't know how much the Final Fantasy XV losing money thing would also change that. But yeah, I think when they mean it's going to be across 2 Blu-rays, I don't think they mean across 2 releases. I think they would have said across 2 releases.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still confirmed, and the producer Katase said he doesn't know how many episodes will be released for FF7. So
there's going to be a Blu-ray that you're going to put into your PS4, and you're going to download the rest of the game.
No, dude, I think they're going to release it in multiple parts. I think that's how this plays out. I think this plays out with they're going to give us part 1, which is going to be, I don't know when it's going to end. I mean, they talked about it before, and they mentioned that it's going to be mostly Midgar, which is interesting because that's kind of the worst part in the original game. Honestly, getting out of that city is just the least fun 8 hours in the game.
There's no exploring. There's nothing.
But that's like what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to make it something you can truly experience. You can really take in the world.
Okay. You might be right, but that sounds so bizarre to me. I just can't.
So
I can't imagine that wouldn't be part of the advertising for this.
Yeah, and I thought so too. I was like, they didn't really mention anything about that, and then they did say, "Oh, it'll still be episodic," and that's really all they said at the time. So it's going to be released in multiple parts, dude. Guys, I swear to you, each one is going to have a first class edition that's $330, and you will be wrung dry until there is nothing left. They will take they will pull a Steam. I think they got Gabe Newell in here, and they're like, Gabe, if you had Final Fantasy VII, what would you do? And he just kind of steeples his fingers over his large stomach and is like, well, let me tell you what I'd do. FF7 Remake, Part 1. The Kitase, we don't know how many parts it's going to be in.
The next part will part 2 only go to like Cosmo Canyon or something.
Oh, dude, that would be crazy if it only went to Cosmo Canyon. It's like, fuck, we're like a quarter of the way into this game, and I've already spent $700.
And then you get in your little boat ship thing, and you just then it fades to black.
Yeah,
to be continued.
Yeah, yeah.
The next part just goes to the Aerith death scene.
I was kind of hoping that was where they would end part 1 with Aerith dying.
Nah, if the first one's mostly Midgar, that means part 2 is gonna end on Aerith's death.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a 3-parter. If I'm thinking like structurally, like the amount of time in the original game and the amount of areas and yada yada. I'm thinking part 1 ends getting out of Midgar. Part 2 ends Aerith's death. Part 3 is up to the end of the game.
Yeah, and then part 4 is just the final disc, basically. So the last, I bet you it'll be at least 4 parts. I kind of wish they were able to get some of the stuff for Crisis Core and Dirge taken care of, because I don't know, it would be kind of cool to have those in a remake where it's nothing like the original.
Just remember, every FF7 release, it retcons something new.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I played Resident Evil 2, and right after that I played the remake, and they retconned some stuff. But, I mean, the Resident Evil timeline is beyond repair, so, I mean, I don't know if that's a fair comparison to make. It is so fucked up, dude. It's like one of the main guys, it shows him, being infected at the end of one of the spin-off games, and then he's alive, throughout the rest of the series. And, Resi 7 retcons the shit out of it. It's all over the fucking place. And so is FF7, to be honest. It's kind of all over the place with the amount of changes they've made over the years. So I get the concern with the retcons, but I don't know. I kind of view it as I view, the Game of Thrones show versus the Game of Thrones books, the Song of Ice and Fire books. It's yeah, they're going to change some stuff, but that doesn't mean it won't work necessarily. And I approach the remake as a separate entertainment medium almost from the original, because it's set in a very different time in our lives and our world, and it's rehashing these things, and it's an opportunity for them to kind of fix some of the stuff or do some of the things they wish they could have done in 1997 and 1996 and 5 when they were making this game that they can now do. So I don't know. With changing it, I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is, Schweiss, and we can really only look to movies for this, maybe some books. Remakes are hardly ever better than the original. Even when like separated by time and generations, it's not necessarily like what you grew up with. Sometimes things are just more effective pieces of art than others. And oftentimes the remake loses something. Loses some sort of spark that the original had. So, I don't know. There's hardly any remakes are better than the originals.
Yeah.
Just in general. So
I think that's just the nature of I feel like that's just the nature of remakes. I mean, it's always a cool idea of like, oh wow, I love the idea of remaking this game, but there's something about the time in which something is released that sort of makes it what it is. You know what I mean? Like, or the time of your life, the time you're either the actual physical year in which it was released or where you were at that time. You know, it's the whole nostalgia is rose-colored glasses things. It's FF8 was so good when you were like 15, 14 years old because of where you were as a person. And then you go back to it and it's like, I don't know if it's as good anymore. And that's one of the things where like a remake, that's what makes it hard, is because sometimes they just fit perfectly right where they're supposed to be. And when you try to redo that, it doesn't capture the 90s feel of FF7. It doesn't capture all of these things. And that it could be for better or for worse, but it almost makes the remake seem like a whole new thing in and of itself. And I feel like that's the only way to approach a remake of this magnitude, is you're going to have to let some of that stuff go.
well, yeah. I mean, the issue with, I don't know. How many times are we going to remake King Kong? And our, like, Peter Jackson one's the second best one. It's pretty good, but I mean, when we talk about King Kong, how many people think about the Peter Jackson one?
Yeah, not many.
It's not as good as the original. It's just not, because the original had like some kind of like originality spark embedded within the movie itself. And as much as I respect the Peter Jackson one, it's just not as good. The '70s one, I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. It seems pretty terrible. And then I think like there are some remakes that are really well done. The David Fincher remake of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, although they're both based on the same book, and that happens sometimes, not necessarily a remake of a movie. That's a good movie, but so is the original, and they can both kind of like be great separately.
Yeah, that's a little different though.
That's a better situation.
Yeah, because they're both based on something else, not on each other.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I think the exception is like the '60s Ben-Hur remake is the Ben-Hur, despite the fact that movie's been made like 4 times. We know that like that one's the good one, and like I don't know. Did anybody like the new RoboCop over the old RoboCop? Is anybody liking these Disney remakes over the originals? I've heard Jungle Book is good, but you know,
yeah,
that's all I'm aware of, right? Like, there's no way this new Aladdin is better than the one they did with Robin Williams.
Yeah,
no way.
I know. That's a great movie, though. That's just a fantastic movie.
I know, and so the original Lion King is also like a masterpiece, right?
Yeah,
they got to remake like, I don't know. I've always had this like feeling that like they should just remake stuff that was mediocre.
Yeah, like why is there no Pocahontas remake? You know, like Pocahontas is
remake,
just like a man. It's all across the board.
Well, I mean, there's Terrence Malick's The New World. I guess that counts.
Yeah, I guess there's that, and then there's also Avatar, but. You know, I that's a little different. It's kind of sci-fi instead, but it's the same story.
Oh, yeah, everybody's like Avatar and Ferngully are the same movie, and I got to tell you guys,
Ferngully's not
is
very good.
Not a good movie.
Yeah, I used to watch that all the time.
There's a remake that's better. Avatar's a better movie than Pocahontas too.
It is, yeah.
Fuck you guys. I'll say it. But yeah, hardly. I mean, I just gave you like 2 exceptions, but hardly any remake is better than the original. And it's not always nostalgia. That's what I'm saying. It's not always nostalgia.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's tough though because I don't know. I feel like sometimes they try to remake these things and it just doesn't hit the mark. And I feel like that's part of the reason why is because it was so good at a particular time. But if you have a really good concept and a really good story and really good characters, you can just remake it at any time and it should have some good qualities. Now, I mean, with a game, it's based on more than that. It has to be the soundtrack, the gameplay, the story. It has to be innovative enough while also capturing, the nostalgic feelings from the original release. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I think Resident Evil 2's remake is better than the original game. There's no doubt in my mind. But that's hard, and how fair is that to say? Because they took the concept of Resident Evil 2, and they were like, okay, let's modernize this, and let's make it look amazing, and let's have really great voice acting. Let's change some of the things, make it flow a little bit better, and then they release it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's better. But, I mean, how fair is that to say, oh, it's better when you have something you wrote 20 years ago, and you look back on as a, 20-year in the future writer, and you're like, oh, I can fucking one-up the shit out of this story. And you do it, and then of course it's better. It's because it can't not be better. You know what I mean? Like, you are so much better at doing that thing that you do that it's unfair, almost unfair to say that a remake is better because it's based on something that you did years ago, and you kind of laid the foundation and almost made it easy to make it better. So I think it's honestly, I almost want to say that it's hard to fuck up a remake. Like, you've got to kind of be bad to do that if you are in charge of both projects. I don't know.
Like a person remaking their own.
Yeah. Like if we remade, UFF or something, there's no way we couldn't do a better job because we were just better at doing this than we used to be.
Well, there is better job, like, the technical skill, they're better at filling in silences, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
That may be the case, but the excitement level of us, like the fire in our eyes, like that would affect the product. It would affect the feel of the product. I don't know. And same with the life and times, right?
Yeah.
It would all affect how the thing would be made. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And this is all like super subjective and.
Oh yeah, this is a ridiculous conversation.
This is a fairy dust conversation.
Yeah. We're talking about nothing here, but yeah.
Yeah, we are literally talking about nothing. But I don't know. There is something to be said about, like, they keep on remaking Shakespeare, and every version of Shakespeare kind of has its own thing. Like, every time you see a new show of Shakespeare, they do it a little differently. Sometimes they cut scenes. Sometimes they add in little visual flares that underline different themes from the shows, and maybe things that reflect our modern-day stuff, or they'll take a Shakespeare play and they'll just like keep all the words, but it's based in modern day. They do stuff like that, and it like adds an element there, and it's really cool. But with these visual things, I don't know. And every time they do a remake for a movie, they don't like keep the old script. They completely rewrite it.
Yeah.
They keep most of the plot elements, most of the characters, and then they just like rewrite it for like. Instead of it taking place in the 1970s, it takes place in the 2010s. Which might be a mistake. Maybe we should change how we remake things. I don't know. Just like treat it like Shakespeare. It's like we're gonna keep 99% of this.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for that, or said for just give me a Spark Notes version of what this thing is, and we'll make it our own.
Which is what they do.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they do. And I guess I don't know. it's tough because, like, not everyone that was in Square then is in Square now, so, like, I don't know if it's really applicable. But yeah, to me, that seems like it would be a no-brainer to make a better product. But I mean, if it's a better product with no soul, is it truly better? Or is it just...
and I think the audience would feel it too.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. And that's something that's also super subjective. And most people would be like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? No soul, it's a video game. And it's just something that you feel, you know.
Video games are designed to take your soul away.
Exactly, yeah. They're supposed to take all parts of your existence and just toss them into the wind. But it's... I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm excited. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it day one. And I'm going to try to approach it from that same mindset that I have when watching things that are redone. Like, the Lord of the Rings movies are great. I still think the Lord of the Rings as a book is better. They're both masterpieces in their own right, and they're both masterpieces for some very different reasons. But I could separate the two, you know? And maybe it's because Peter Jackson did such a fucking good job on Lord of the Rings that I'm able to do that, and I'm able to appreciate both of them. But I take the same approach with Game of Thrones, and I'm going to take the same approach with this FF7 remake, and just approach it from, like... I know what the baseline is. I know where they're coming from. Let's see where they go with it. And I don't know.
I guess. I don't know, man. I see now. The one trailer that I saw was the trailer. It wasn't gameplay look-ats or anything like that you just sent me. It was the trailer. It had very little gameplay in it, if any at all. I don't even remember any. But then there was also... It was just cutscenes and voice acting and, like, Tifa and Cloud at a bar talking. Jesse, like, there's some, like, exchange of materia going on. Like, and all I heard was, I know these characters, I know these scenes, and now I'm hearing voice acting and I feel uncomfortable. That was honestly, like, my reaction to that trailer. And am I the only one on the planet who's feeling that right now?
Maybe, man. I know you're not the only one that's feeling, wow, $330 is fucking way too expensive. Because the first thing I said, I tweeted out this morning, I told Square Enix, I was like, hey, guys, I want to give you my money. Where the fuck is the fucking, the Stormblood? Or not Stormblood. Fuck. Stormblood is the last one was Stormblood. I was talking about Stormblood in the tweet. But what I should have been talking about was not Stormblood, the new FF14 expansion. But we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, yeah, I said that, like, where is my copy? And the response was, the new FF7 remake is $330. What the fuck? And... I don't know. I feel that. I feel that it's a little bit too expensive. And guys, I swear to God, dude, I don't know. Do you think I'm crazy with this, Joe? I think they're going to release this in multiple parts, and every one of them is going to be this expensive. Like, I can see it, man. I can fucking see it.
I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. Totally. I don't know if I buy it. But yeah. I don't know. I guess. God, I know I'm the crashity guy here. I did not really dig that trailer too much. I thought it looked nice. Hopefully it's better in Japanese. I might just be playing the game in Japanese. But the voice acting wasn't really like... My nostalgia's playing with me right now.
Yeah, I feel like voice acting is the most sensitive of the nostalgia breakers, right? Because we play these games and we kind of assign voices in our minds, somewhat, or we just think it out, and then when it's voiced, it can come off as super weird and not right.
And they have to, because of the way those games play. Like, there are good character things in those games. Like, everybody has, like, a really strong, like, character, especially Barrett. But, like, they have to make that come to life in voice acting, and then, like, some things where we kind of gloss over it because, you know, it's an old RPG game with text boxes. they have to then make these characters more three-dimensional because we have to see them acting out in cutscenes and stuff like that. I think that is a good place for error to happen as far as like the characters that we have in our minds versus the characters that they're going to put out on there. I think that's why a lot of people don't like Advent Children, is because, you know, characters look weird and the characters feel weird and yada yada yada.
Right.
Although maybe watching Advent Children might soften the blow for this remake, because we kind of know where we're getting into. But I don't know. I was put off by it, honestly, with the bar scene and stuff like that. I was just like, this might be good, but it just feels weird for me. Like my excitement level went away. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, hopefully it's better when I play the actual game. It's not necessarily the quality of the voice acting. It is just like, in that situation, I wasn't ready for that. Similar reaction to the new Star Wars trailer where suddenly we're in a kung fu movie, I guess. She's like flipping around. She's gonna attack the ship that's coming after her. Like, what is this? What is this? Is not the Star Wars I have in my head. I know we're trying to like sell to China, but do we need to make it a kung fu movie in order to do so? I don't know. And then Final Fantasy VII remake voice acting is weird. Another thing that's weird, I think that they should just be calling it Final Fantasy VII. We all know it's a fucking remake, but like part of the like the swirl of the logo coming in, it says remake in the logo. And
yeah.
like, oh wow, that is some cheap, stupid shit right there. What the fuck? Get that remake out of there. We know it's a remake. Fuck.
Yeah, everyone knows it's a remake. I agree with that. I like the cleanness of, you know, reboots and remakes, just simply
Say the name
saying
or have a
it.
subtitle. Like, don't have the subtitle be remake. Like, no one went to like, oh, let's go see Shaft remake. Like,
Yeah.
let's go see RoboCop remake.
I mean, I feel like it's classier to have the God of War reboot just be called God of War, or Resident Evil 2's remake to just be called Resident Evil 2. You know, because like you said, everybody knows it's a remake, and it's weird to have it in the logo. That is a worthy gripe. It's bizarre, you know.
So weird. There's another like remake. It's like, oh, we fucked up the first time.
Yeah. It also has. It kind of feels like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Much better, right?
Yeah. They acknowledge that it's a rebirth of the original title, and they kind of play with that a little bit more.
Yeah, A Realm Reborn, like literally the realm is reborn in the plot. So I'm wondering if they could like find something in the plot of, let's say this is just episode 1. Should just call it Final Fantasy VII Episode 1 or some kind of subtitle underneath. Then they could like continue after that. Should they choose to do that, or you know, they call it I don't know, like just for the sake of pretending, just call it like Final Fantasy VII On the Way to a Smile, or some stupid fucking corny title like that. Still better than remake as the subtitle of the game officially.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
It's
How do you
weird.
feel about the voice acting and like the actual like cutscenes from the game?
I think it looks good, and I don't dislike the voice acting. I don't think it's weird or anything. I know that there were some people that had a problem with Barrett's
Barrett was the weirdest one.
the way he talks, but I don't know. I think he's kind of Robert Downey Jr.-esque in
Is it the Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder. Yeah, he's real like stereotypical in that way. And I know that's less appropriate now, I suppose, than before, but I don't know. That kind of
Is
does
it
the
the
character justice.
Is it? No, it was inappropriate then. That's the joke of Tropic Thunder. What is
No, I mean like FF7, the way they voice him in 7. No,
the way they voice. I don't know. Mr. T is a dude.
Nobody cared back then.
They're just copying Mr. T.
Yeah, they're just making him Mr. T. Really, is all it is.
Yeah, I saw Mr. T on daytime like news television over here. They're celebrating something, and Mr. T was out there being interviewed.
Yeah,
and he's just Mr. T. That's just how he talks. So, if you wanted to make a character based on Mr. T, I don't think that's racist. I think it's just an applaud to Mr. T. I think that's what that is. But maybe I don't know. Someone can argue against that, I guess.
Yeah.
But was it the same voice actor as Advent Children for Barrett? Mr. Barrett.
I don't think so. It doesn't sound like the same guy.
It sounds different, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting a different voice to come from him. Maybe that's the thing that like put me off. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Cloud's voice is the same, so I'm kind of used to him being like the voice of Cloud. Since Kingdom Hearts and Advent Children and stuff like that, it's all been played by the same dude.
Yeah.
I'm okay with them keeping him in as the English voice actor. I think he does a good job, and we all kind of like recognize that as the voice of Cloud. I think Tifa's the same person as well. It's just it is the Barrett thing. It's weird, huh?
Yeah, it does. It does feel like the weirdest one, I suppose.
I don't know. That's kind of one of those things where I'm like, there's voice acting in it. Okay, it's immediately not going to be as good as the first one. Because now I have to see these characters in 3 dimensions. And unfortunately, they're both games. It's not like one's based on a book. It's like yeah, one's a remake of the other one, and so they immediately have a straight-up competition or comparison or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it is. I feel like that's. I don't know. I feel like that's an easier way to do it, for sure, as if it's based on something else, because then you're remaking that idea more than you are.
It's a reinterpretation
else.
Of that thing. Like I'm concerned about the Metal Gear Solid movie because the game was like a spoof of 90s action movies. And so we're going to make a action movie based on a game based on action movies. And I'm like, the filter, like I feel like there's a filtration system of like original thought or like interesting thought put into a project. And I feel like books can explore so many things, and then movies, if they're based on the book, they'll never quite get all the ideas that are in the book, but maybe they like get a few of them right. And then like the game based on like the Harry Potter video games are based on the Harry Potter movies, right? And the Harry Potter movies are based on the Harry Potter books. Now, each one is like there's like a filtration system of art and thought and themes, and every time it goes through the filtration system, it loses a little bit. So
yeah.
It's like none of it's made in a vacuum. But to me, it's like, well, that Metal Gear Solid movie is just going to be a 90s action movie. It's not going to be anything special because it was already something that was like, that was based on that kind of thing. It's based on Pierce Brosnan shit. So, like, where are we going with all this?
Yeah. I guess it is the same guy who did it in Advent Children, actually. It just sounds different. I don't know. I mean, he is.
It's been 10 years or so.
Yeah, it's been 12 years since that came out, so that's fair.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't know.
It
didn't really bug me, but
maybe it was just a first time watch. Maybe I'll watch it again and think differently, but I don't know. I'm still cautiously optimistic about the remake. I hope that it blows my mind and that I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
Most of the people who loved the original game. And I'm one of those. So, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of those things where anything they do will be enough in a lot of ways for most people.
Really? I think like anything they do is going to be the wrong thing to do. Because there's going to be people who like, oh, I miss the old battle system. Oh, I miss the old story, like the way they did it. Oh, I miss the old cutscenes. These cutscenes like give me too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like outside of the graphical improvement, which I think we can all agree, or most of us can, I think 99% of us can agree that redoing the Popeye character figures as they run around the game is an improvement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But outside of that, I don't know. I think we're in the realm of, oh, I like this about the original.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that the original is always going to be there.
Yeah, that's true. Unlike Advent Children.
Yeah, where it's just
where they only put out the complete version.
Yeah.
Dicks. But yeah. All right, well, I'm glad you're excited for it. I'm tepid.
Yeah.
I'm more excited for the FF8 remaster.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, of course, the Crystal Chronicles. Although I know you're not excited for that, but I'll buy it.
Yeah, fuck that game.
Yeah. It's super overrated.
It's one of the worst games in the series. Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up, guys. What else for Final Fantasy?
Well, that's it for Final Fantasy by and large, but for our show, there was one other thing that they announced. Seiken Densetsu 3, Trials of Mana, is being brought to the States. It's available.
Oh, shit. You say it's available?
Yeah. We can get it on the Switch.
Who's our new host?
That is my son, as the host, third host of Ultima. He's very tepid on the remake of FF7 as well. He's not so sure if it's gonna do it for him. Sorry, no, it's not available yet. It's early 2020 on Nintendo Switch.
Early 2020? Shit. That'll be past when we're on that stuff. That stuff is next after the FF14 expansion. The Mana games.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to go back and do it. I mean, unless we go like way slow, but we got 2 Mana games before that. No, we just have 1, I think, actually.
Yeah, because the first one is the Final Fantasy one we already did.
Yeah, it's the one we already played.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting. Okay, I guess we'll get an official Secret of Mana 3. I think this was something you brought up a couple of weeks ago, that it was like a rumor.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty obvious because they released it in Japan. And I was like, why the hell is that not here? And then they're like, oh, just kidding, it's going to be here.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
yeah, we'll get that. That's great. I mean, right now it's only in Japanese.
The guy behind the Mana series, we read like a piece of news a little while ago. It's like, or it was like part of the making of the Final Fantasy Adventure, where he's like, oh, we want all the Mana games on the newest consoles.
Right.
So like that was a big project that they had, was to put all the Mana games onto the Switch and onto phones. And you know, the thing the Final Fantasy series should be fucking doing, like every time, the Mana guys know what's up. So
true.
Like, I get FF11 being like a big pain in the ass to switch over, but I don't know. Then again, you might get more subscribers for FF11. Just like fix your fucking subscription stuff. Like, I don't know, like do a play online update that gives you like a code that's unique for your profile, and then redo the fucking signing up for 11 thing, and then you put in that code, and then your character gets reloaded with all the shit that you had before. Come on, guys. Fucking god damn it. Get that stuff updated, fucks.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the Mana guys have it right. They're down to re-release. It's just unfortunate that it seems like it's going to be the Switch instead. You don't have a Switch, so
Or do I?
Dun, 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 dun. I don't think so.
I own 1/4 of Geekdom Entertainment. You bet your ass I have a Switch.
Yeah.
It's just not in my possession.
Yeah. It will be released for PS4, though, as well. So
I own 1/4 of 2 Switches.
1/4 of 3 Switches.
Oh, yeah, that purchase that you guys made without telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. 1/4 of 3 Switches.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But it'll be out on the PS4 as well. The one in the West or the East was just the Switch, so that'll be nice.
Okay.
That's about it as far as FF and Mana news from.
Did you say we had like a Final Fantasy XIV thing?
Oh, they had another trailer for the new expansion. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It's a really good trailer. I liked it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Shadowbringers.
Yeah, Shadowbringers. The name I couldn't quite remember earlier. It's a good trailer. A lot of intrigue going on. And I'm excited because I thought the story in Stormblood was really good. So I'm excited with what they're doing in the Final Fantasy XIV world as far as the story goes. The gameplay is fun each time, but the story is starting to get pretty good. And that's something that I kind of miss from the FF11 expansions because they have really solid storylines. And 14 largely, to me, just felt like really underwhelming after 11's subsequent storylines. But so we're now starting to finally get into expansions that are as good as the 11 ones, I'm thinking, with Stormblood and with this new one coming out. I'm excited to see what happens. And that's coming out in, it's like July 2nd. So, real soon.
Yeah. It's right after KupoCon. It's like the day after. I thought it was like July 3rd or some shit.
Yeah, it's real soon.
But yeah, man. Also, KupoCon. Super excited, guys. Let's get there. Let's have a good time. All right. And we'll see you guys in New Jersey and New York. 'Cause that's where I'll be spending most of my time. Schweiss, I looked at Final Fantasy XIV just for a second there. I found the worst Final Fantasy ranking I've ever seen in my life from digitaltrends.com. I'm sure it sounds like a quality website as well. The official Digital Trends rankings. Final Fantasy VI at number 1, which is totally fine. Guess what's number 2?
FF8.
Yeah, it's FF8.
Okay. All right. So
the boldest entry in the series, it says.
Is it really bold? I don't think it's bold.
Nah, I think 4 was bolder.
Yeah. Okay. So
4 was more bold.
If I'm gonna guess,
Then FF10.
Oh, okay. No.
Then FF12.
Okay, that's where FF12 is for me. It's number 4.
Then FF9.
Okay, that's interesting.
Then FF4. Final Fantasy VII's not on the list until the number 7. And they said because it didn't age well, basically.
True. Visually, very true.
Oh my god, dude. Fuck this list. Final Fantasy 13 is number 12. Jesus. And Final Fantasy 15 is number 14. God damn. They put Final Fantasy 15 below Final Fantasy 3. That's insane to me.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's a little much.
And then they put Final Fantasy 2 at the bottom.
So they're standard when it comes to number 1 and the bottom, but everything else they have to hot take.
Yeah, it is. It's a hot take list. It's a click on our thing to be mad at it, but get us clicks.
Yeah, and send it to people and be like, look how bullshit this is, and then they all look at it as well. And it steamrolls.
But they say we like it's our official ranking for their website.
I bet it's just one guy who was like, I bet you I
How
could...
many of you guys even played all these?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Okay. So, Final Fantasy 13-2, Fragments Before, part 4?
Yeah.
Or chapter 4, is that right?
Chapter
so it's
4.
actually like part 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair
This is,
and foul.
Fair and foul. Okay. So, Schweiss, I listened to this thing 2 weeks ago. I didn't take any notes because it was your episode. And I was like, okay, he'll take notes, and we can just, like, go on. And I'll remember everything as he's doing it. And, you know, it was the night before we were supposed to record, or, like, the hours before we were supposed to record, and then something happened, and you were like, dude, I have to go to sleep, and then we ended up doing the episode really late. Or, no, that was the week we had Greg just fill in for us.
Right, yeah.
Legend review. So, I now officially only remember that it was about Bartholomew and Hope as a student, and that's it. Because this chapter really stuck to my ribs. Honestly, I remember all the other chapters way better than this one. And given that you were falling asleep to it, I literally fell asleep listening to this one. I do remember that. I remember the sleeping more than I remember the actual thing. Even though I turned it back on, listened to the whole thing again, and just went through it. I gotta say, my review of Friend and Foul and Friend, or whatever the fuck, Fair and Foul, is, I don't know, not great. Not memorable.
No.
This show has given me memory problems. By the way, I forget more and more as we go along. Like I forget faster. It's like my brain just. Remember when I said every time we go into the show, I like purge all my memories of everything, and then like after I've said it on the show, I just like in my own life, I just don't remember it anymore.
I do remember you
like
saying that.
The memory is gone, but this one wasn't even purged. This one was like, oh, I'm gonna purge it later, and then. But you listened to this today.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care for this one. I agree. We get a lot of soldiers gathering at Palamporum's concert hall, which is the new setup ever since everything went to shit. The military is kind of in a state of madness. Everything's jacked up. Bartholomew was intimately involved with the purge because his wife and family were among the ones who would have gone, which is Hope and Hope's mom. Meets up with Rig Day. We get some real Big Brother moments with the cameras because like everything is watched in this world now. Everything's being spied on, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, so he's part of the new power structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bartholomew is Hope's dad.
Yes, yeah.
Because it took me almost the entirety of listening. I remember talking to you about how like I didn't even remember who this character was for most of listening to this chapter.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this guy? Who's Bartholomew? And then you said Barty. You didn't really like that was Bartandalus. This is who we called Barty.
Yeah. I thought I read it as Barty, as Bartandalus. And I was like, how could you forget him?
No,
and then I listened to it and I was like, oh no, you mean this guy. Oh, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, I misread that completely. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of not great, I mean, that we don't remember these characters, especially if they play as pivotal of a role as they apparently do, in what's going on. It's just kind of a testament to how 13 played out. 13 is just too much info, not enough time, which is crazy because it's a huge game, but...
What did he say about Hope in this one? Do you have notes on that?
It talked about how Hope entered the academy, which was founded in 1AF, so after the fall of Cocoon, when he was 17. Apparently, he skipped a bunch of grades and became the leader of the academy at age 19. And that's what we see in, yeah.
Is that when God becomes part of Hope? Or
not quite. I don't think they're going to do that yet in these stories. They basically...
The most hilarious thing about this entire franchise, this mini franchise that is the Final Fantasy XIII games, Hope becomes God. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Sorry, go ahead. Cut you off.
So we find out that everything that the Lassie have done, except for the 5th arc, was recorded, and the stuff that happened in Orphan's Cradle. So like everyone knows about what happened, which is weird because like everyone forgets Lightning. And then also the story mentions how Fang, Vanille, and Lightning are all hailed as heroes for sacrificing themselves to save Cocoon.
Why is Lightning hailed as a hero outside of, like, I had a full party, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of them are hailed as heroes.
Well,
so why is Lightning the one hailed as a
And
hero?
the weird thing is Vanille and Fang are the ones that turn to Crystal, you know?
Yeah, they're the ones who straight up sacrifice themselves.
And Lightning just ceased to exist in 13.2. So
Exactly.
I guess this is kind of playing with that and like why that happened.
Okay.
But I don't know. I still don't understand.
How come Snow and Hope are not hailed as heroes? Or maybe Hope is. Maybe that's why they had teachers like, oh, you're a hero after all. And they had them skip a few grades. They'd like, we'll put you in charge because you're a hero. Am I reading into that right, you think?
Probably. I mean, that seems like how they would do it.
Yeah, that is the Final Fantasy XIII universe logic.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. The new government, the new like provisional, I guess, the temporary government that was set up. Their first thing that they did was they tried to publicize the truth behind the threat from Pulse that was really the catalyst to the purge, and stated that, hey, that was all a lie from Bartandalus. And it was basically this one's a lot of them trying to sort of get rid of the hatred and fear of Pulse, because honestly that's kind of where they have to live now, is in Pulse, because Cocoon's gone largely, and they're trying to like break down the fabric of the society that they've been living in, the lie of Pulse being this terrible place, this wasteland essentially that they've been told and have been built up to believe. And they're kind of trying to get rid of that, which is cool, because I mean, we know that's one of the big misinformation things in Final Fantasy XIII is everyone's afraid of Grand Pulse because they think it's this like savage, really primitive area. And in a lot of ways it is, yeah, but it's not nearly as bad as they've been led to believe, and it's because of the Foul Sea, the competing Foul Sea, that were brought up this way. So they're kind of trying to break down those barriers in Fair and Foul, and we do it through the eyes of Hope's dad. That's kind of
character we spent so much time with.
Yeah, a character we got like 2 cutscenes with in the game, in Hope's house.
Yeah, I remember what he looks like. There you go. I more remember when the army's coming after them and they're in the house. I thought that was a pretty cool part.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this chapter, I'm glad we're tacking this onto an episode where we talked about a lot of like important things for fans. Because this chapter, there's not much to it at all. It's just kind of like, what's the world up to right now? There's no like story or anything. It's just like thinking.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite one so far.
It's mine as well.
I mean, it's not Turk's kids are white, but nothing is.
We'll just bring that up every time we do one of these books. Like, well, there's this, and then there's Turks. The kids are all right.
Yeah,
that one of them is possibly the worst piece of literature ever written.
Yeah, and then the other one is what we just reviewed.
Well, yeah, which isn't that bad.
No,
and therefore,
exactly when the
can
bar
we really call it bad?
When the Turks, the kids are all right bar is so low, can anything in life be bad? Truly.
And honestly, nothing in this Fragments before or the prologue thing, nothing has been bad. I And I enjoy some of the character building stuff that we've had before, like Snow and his little cactar friend and stuff like that. So this is just a boring chapter, and otherwise, kind of cool. Little addition to the 13 series.
Yeah.
So I assume next time we'll be finishing up Fragments before, and then we'll be doing Fragments after. Fragments before, this one's going to end on a chapter called Someday and Somewhere, which looks like it's going to be about Noel.
Yeah, that'll be kind of cool, because we haven't heard from Noel in years. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll get into that. Anything else to say about this chapter?
No, kind of a letdown, because I've been really into most of these chapters so far. This one's probably the worst one.
Yep. There you go. Okay, did we get any questions based on the E3 stuff?
We did. We've got a little bit on our Discord channel from Bill. So
yeah, we didn't give people much time to put anything up, but
not really. No.
At least we got one. Okay, so hopefully I can hear it through your webcam.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Yeah.
written. It was written.
Oh, it was written. Okay.
Yeah.
Well then,
So-
go ahead and,
Matunica asks, "What's your impressions of Tifa's boob reduction and becoming very Asian?" I like it. I don't know. I think she looks great.
Okay, hold on. Now I gotta look up Tifa on Google Images right now.
Oh, did she? She wasn't
Tifa-
in the big trailer, huh? She was just part of the gameplay
She was-
thing. Or was she in the trailer? I don't know. I watched the whole thing, so I saw all
She
of
was
it.
in the trailer, but I did not honestly pay that much attention to like how she looked in comparison to what she was before. Let's see. Schweiss, I think she looks pretty good. More realistic proportions. I think she might be the most attractive Tifa we've had yet, besides some of these cosplayers on Google Images that are, of course, real people. So it's a little different. But yeah, I think she looks good.
Yeah, I agree. I think she looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a good little redesign. It's not too different. I dig it. I dig the aesthetic of this so far. So there you go, Bill.
Yeah.
He says, "What are your thoughts on the bullet time, active time battle system?" I mean, we kind of talked about that in the episode already. I think it looks pretty cool.
We did, yeah. I did not see it, so it's all you.
Yeah, I like
It
it.
looks
I
pretty
think it
cool.
kind of melds the two worlds of action and turn-based very well. And I'm excited to see what else they do. If FF7 Remake is in two parts and the first part is Midgar, are you concerned the second part will have been rushed? I mean, yeah, if that were the case. But I really think it's going to be at least 4 or 5 parts. At least.
Well, I mean, it could just be like an FF13 situation where they got to build the first thing, and then the rest of it will kind of just like fall into place. They know what their game is, and so just creating new areas and stuff like that is just kind of part of the process. So
Yeah, I
don't mind it
also
at all.
don't think it's going to take that long to come out with the other 2 parts, or 3 parts, or 4 parts, or whatever it is. I think they'll start pounding it out once they release part 1. But we'll see. With Secret of Mana 3 finally coming to the West in the Mana Collection, is it now on the list? It was on the list before, but now it's on the list. It'll be on the list in English. So
there was a list before with a star with an asterisk next to it, saying like, well, maybe.
yeah.
But yeah.
Does Joe have heart palpitations during all Square events that they will release a ton of new FF titles you'll have to play?
No, in fact, I'm more excited for. I'm excited for them to get this shit out of the way so that they can give us a new game actually called FF16. There's nothing. They didn't put out any new Final Fantasy games. There was no like World of FF equivalent on this thing, as far as what you've told me, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I'm always afraid they're just gonna release like some more crap, like a Crystal Chronicles or something.
Yeah, you're more mad that they didn't release something. So it's honestly the opposite, is how Joe feels.
I want every 3 years for there to be a new mainline Final Fantasy game. That's what I want. And frankly, like every 5 years for them to release all the old games on the new systems. I think it would be financially. First off, I think it's totally financially like something that they could do, and something that would make them a ton of money. And I think they can keep pace with other game studios. For fuck's sake, give us like 2 Final Fantasy games per console generation that are like the pinnacle like Final Fantasy release. They gave us 15. I really liked 15. It was a big success for them outside of the DLC realm. So where the fuck is 16 is my question. That's what I want, man. I want Final Fantasy 16. It's the exact opposite. Like, we got no FF16 news? Okay, well, fuck me. Could have at least gotten like a teaser for it, right?
Yeah.
A little 30-second thing, but you know, they're gonna wait till their FF7 remake is out of the way, because that's obviously like the next juggernaut they're putting out.
Yeah.
So,
and I totally get where you're coming from. Like,
they don't want to steal any of that fire.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I get where they're coming from. I do want more Final Fantasy games. Like, don't get me wrong. What I don't want are the things like the Dissidia NTs, where it's like, well, we've had this arcade game in Japan for years now. Let's put it on console. That's not really what I want. I mean, the fun of this podcast, the best part of the show, is seeing the evolution of the series as time goes on. And I don't feel like we capture that when they release these games that have been a thing for a while on the modern console. Like, I dig re-releasing and having everything available, but considering it almost a new release like they did with NT, that's not really what I'm after. I want to see what's going on now. You know, I want to see what they come out with now. And I think the FF7 remake is going to do a bit of that, but I would rather see even another spin-off series, another spin-off solo game, like World of Final Fantasy. Another one of those nods to the series would be nice. Something. But what we got is just the 7 remake, which is fine, and that's something we'll play, and then the 8 remaster, which is something we've already played.
And then another trailer for an expansion of a game we already have.
Yeah, another trailer for an expansion of a game we already have, and then also a remaster of a
English
game.
language release of a game that Japan already had. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I kind of want something new, you know, and we didn't really.
Hey guys, I got an idea here, and I just have a new observation. Are you ready for this? When is the golden age of Square? Right? It was in the late 90s, right? Early 2000s.
Yeah, I would agree.
Before Square Enix came in. And there's been great games put out by Square Enix, don't get me wrong. But even they kind of like have a golden period. But like this PlayStation 3 era, this PlayStation 4 era. Now, not only is it the Backlash era, so there's just some unavoidable things. Fans are not going to be happy, and they're in this internet environment, and they're getting crazy on forums and shit like that. So with that aside, all the shit that we loved was during a time when Square Co. was moving forward. They were trying to get new product out. They try Parasite Eve. They try Kingdom Hearts. When I think that might have been Square Enix, but you know, it was still during that kind of like time when they were putting out new things. And every Final Fantasy game was a new experience that wasn't looking back. It was just the new big juggernaut thing. They start putting out sequels to the main series Final Fantasy games, and then they start going into spin-off mode like crazy. And it's just to turn a quick profit. And it's less about like making the new juggernaut thing that's going to sell 10 million copies, and more like making the cheap thing that's going to sell 500,000 copies. I think that like it's important for Square. It's important for the brand, and it's something that I think fans will appreciate more. At least you'll get new fans. If they decide they got to move forward, the whole point is to move forward, keep creating new stuff. Right now, we're in a Square Enix environment where everything's like looking back on something that on a period of time that was 20 years ago. Right? That's all they're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's just retrospective bullshit. Keep making new stuff. Give us Final Fantasy XVI. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus
even those little spin-offs that may or may not be good, like, that's still something new, you know? That's still them playing with a new idea. And that's why I think the remake gives them a lot of room to do that, kind of play with a new game design. And that fits the mold better than, obviously, the remasters do. But, yeah, I want to see what they can do. You know, I want to see one last ditch effort for a PS4 title, and we're not going to get that from Square as far as the Final Fantasy series goes.
No, we're not. The PlayStation 4 era is going to be the big Final Fantasy releases on that era are FF15 and the FF7 remake.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the 7 remake is kind of one of the exceptions, but it's still not something new per se. It's rehashing something they already had.
No.
So
something they were excited about doing in the PS3 era too.
Exactly, yeah.
Thinking it was going to happen back then, so I don't know. I think companies get their golden periods, and usually their golden periods are going to be periods where they're creating and they're moving forward. And they're not really looking back. I think it's good in this age of like digital sales and stuff to have your stuff available in a library format to keep that stuff kind of alive and going. But making it your number one thing, I don't know, man. I want to see what FF16 is, and my assumption is now that we'll get something like right before the FF7 remake coming out, or maybe it'll be like right after. Maybe it'll be next E3 before we get something for Final Fantasy 16. But I think Square needs to move forward. I think this is going to make, I don't know, like I've said before, it cheapens the Final Fantasy series. Keep fucking doing this shit.
Yeah. I mean, and I kind of don't know if they're going to do that, honestly. I don't know if we'll see something for 16. I know the only thing they've said about 16 is it's going to be more traditional, and that's it. You know, so I don't know how conceptual FF16 is right now, if they're really working on that or if they're working on all these other things.
I don't know. I think a lot of new fans came in with FF15. I really do. I think for non-Final Fantasy players, 15 is seen as a better game.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed 15. So I think it's good. I think it's just good for everybody if they just like move on to the next game. It doesn't have to be every year or every year and a half like it used to be. It just needs to be like every 3 years.
Yeah, we don't want them too often.
Yeah. I don't think that's too much to ask. But maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just like they put too much pressure on themselves whenever they do those games. The thing is, if you don't continue to like create, then you're going to put so much pressure on yourself the next time around on the next thing that you do create. This is one of those like artist philosophy things. It's like the artist that like, oh man, okay, so there was this book called Art and Fear, which if you're a person who like makes art, it's a great book to listen to. He talked about, there was a part of that thing where a professor did an experiment, like a pottery professor did an experiment where he had the grades be different for half of the class. How he would grade them would be different. So, one part of the class, they were graded on one pot, like their best pot, like that they would create in the class. And the other half of the class would be graded upon the amount of pottery that they churned out. So the more pottery they had, the higher their grade would be.
Mm-hmm.
And the consistent thing was that those who were graded on quantity rather than quality ended up with the best quality as well. And I think that's just true. I think that's just like a natural, like, creative endeavor sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of like fine-tuning your craft over time. And if you're doing it, you'll get better.
It is. And, like, I think the Final Fantasy series, a lot of them were made by the same people. Like, half the games were made by, like, the same team, and they were just getting better and better as the games went along. But they had to keep on churning out those games. And as soon as we lose that, as soon as we lose Sakaguchi, then it just becomes like these big, huge juggernaut things. And it's not just from like the creator's point of view. I think it's also from the company point of view. That now, because these games take 10 years to make, and they're not really turning, they don't have like 3 teams taking turns right now. Like, now they're putting so much pressure on the next Final Fantasy game, like they did with 15. The amount of pressure was insane. And so, obviously they changed the director, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I don't think it's good for the company to be doing rollouts like that. Make them for half the price and make them more often. And just kind of, like, keep moving on, keep looking towards the future, and stop wallowing in the past, in the nostalgia. You can keep that stuff up with remasters. Just have a separate remaster team, but keep on making new stuff. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that should be the most important thing to him. Honestly, it really should.
Yeah. I don't know. It's all theory and bullshit, but
yeah.
I mostly I just want FF16.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm excited to see what they come up with next. You know, I'm excited to see what kind of hybrid between the old and the new we get after the reactions from 15. Because they are very much a reactive company, so we'll see how they see it.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Another thing is, like, they're not just Squareco anymore. They're Square Enix, so they're, like, company size, like, just, like, quadrupled when they came together. And older companies that have been around for a long time and have, like, a lot of properties at stake, they tend to be less innovative. And it affects the art that they put out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which is too bad. But yeah. Schweiss, do we have anything else to talk about today? We good?
I think that's about it. We have a couple reviews and some Final Fantasy stories, but I think we should save those for a rainy day.
Yeah. Lot to talk about on the Square front today.
Yeah. Yeah, excited to spend myself into oblivion getting all these games. I'm gonna say 4 parts for FF7 remake in total.
I'm gonna say 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I think to me that makes the most sense structurally.
All right, you heard it here.
That's right. You heard it here. 3 or 4.
That's right. Guys, if you have any comments on the episode, any like questions you want to ask that we didn't cover, things about the show that we didn't talk about, yeah, let us know. I mean, it's interesting trailer. We got some cool stuff with, like, you see the part where, like, Tifa, real quick before we end, even though we're just about to end, Tifa, like, has the, like, weird stuff flying around her. It's like the reaction of the Cetra to Cloud and his connection to Sephiroth kind of a thing. So, like, I'm excited to see where they go with that as the game comes
I wonder
out.
if things are going to be a little... I'm assuming that things are just going to be more clear, like Genova's role and everything, and stuff like that. Things that were kind of brushed over or mistranslated in the original version. Those are the kind of things that it'll be cool to see, like, how they expand on that. And then we'll be, like, going, okay, what was actually in the original game and what wasn't? There'll be big comparison charts.
Yeah.
That'll be some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes to be. It all folds out.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for this week, though. I don't have anything else.
Okay. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGollier.
You can tweet me at UFF Podcast.
Our website is ultimafinalfantasy.com. We have forums there where you can ask us questions and stuff like that. Check out our other shows, Nude Clan, the Godzilla Podcast, For a Few Chickens More, a game of Schweiss. A song of Schweiss and Johnson. Great stuff there if you're into Game of Thrones. We're all crazy during the release of the final season of that. The Godzilla podcast also has new episodes, so go check those out. If you watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, mine and Drew's review of it was mixed, to say the least. Like, there's a lot of talk about like Godzilla fans loving the movie and then critics hating it, and so I guess me and Drew just kind of like fell in the middle, which it didn't seem like. I didn't think that there was a middle, but there is a middle. It's like the monster fights are good, but this plot is shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'm at. So like, I put it right in the middle of the Godzilla movies. It's definitely not as good as 2014, but there's a lot of fun things about it for sure. Yeah, I think next time we'll probably finish up the Fragments Before series, and yeah, hopefully you can get a little further in Four Heroes of Light before we go to KupoCon. I'm gonna try to finish that up today, and I guess that's it, Schweiss. Don't be too mad about my tepid stuff for the FF7 remake. Don't worry, we'll play it, and I'll give it a fresh play, and I hope it's a great game. I really hope it's a great game. I don't think it will be, but I hope it is. And you know what? That means that like there's more room for my mind to be changed, and for my mind, like. I have low expectations. You know what? I might just enjoy the game a lot more than any of you guys will.
Yeah, you never know. That
Yeah.
reverse psychology going on.
Yeah, low expectations, and I'll be like, no, that wasn't too bad. It happens to me all the time. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Enjoy the grind.